It is time for another book by Melissa. No, I didn't write the book, but it's another book recommendation. My name is Melissa Carter, and I have the blog, You Only Have Yourself to Blame. See what I did there? Basically, you are what you consume. And so whatever book you have in yourself, I think kind of reflects who you are. I think it's time to kind of take a look at what you surround yourself with and maybe understand where you are in your life. So this book was inspired by a post online where somebody asked, what was the first book? No, I'm sorry. What was the book that you were assigned to read in school that you fell in love with? And this was my book. I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing, by Angelou. This is a modern copy because it has Oprah Winfrey doing the foreword. But I read this back in 1984. Now, I'm not sure when this was published. That's a good question. It was published in 1969. This is a book from 1969. Now, for a lot of people, Maya Angelou is, or you were introduced by Maya Angelou during her poem during the presidential inauguration. But I was introduced to her again when I was 14 in literature class because it was a short story within the literature book. And I knew nothing about Maya Angelou, but the richness of the way she writes. So she doesn't just do poetry. She writes these very dense, descriptive sentences that just make you want to, I don't know, it's like, it's the difference between something that is watery and something that is rich, like a rich ice cream, a rich cream in your coffee. That's how Maya Angelou's writing to me is just one of the, I don't know, she's one of the best writers I've ever read. But it was a short story in my 8th grade literature book. And I had my mother or father drive me to Shady Brook Mall. That was the mall in my town, so that I could go to the bookstore, which unfortunately I don't remember the name of the bookstore in the mall, to go buy this book and borrow the money to buy this book because I wanted to read the rest of it. Now, let me tell you, I was not a big reader when I was young. And I was a slow reader. I was insecure in class when, you would be in class reading and your friends would be turning, or you'd hear the whole class turning pages and you're like, oh, I'm way behind. I was not a very confident reader.
Get help. No, come on, you love it. I hate it.
So for me to initiate the trip to the mall to get this book shows how influential it was. So in the comments, I would really love for you to answer that question. What book were you assigned in school that you fell in love with? Because it inspired me to restock my shelf with this book. Maya Angelou, I read her books in college too. This was not the only book I read of hers. And I remember in college at UT, go Vols, University of Tennessee, I'd be in my dorm room, and I was never assigned another Maya Angelou book after that. Unfortunately, I think that her canon should be definitely a part of reading, especially if you are an English major or really into English. She's just the best. But I remember having her books and a dictionary because she was not afraid to include words that were highbrow, that were very sophisticated. She didn't dumb her writing down for the reader. A lot of times you hear people, I've heard it in media many times, that you've got to dumb things down for your audience. That is in planning meetings. The low-hanging fruit is verbiage that I've heard many times in media. People assume that you as the consumer are not intelligent enough to take in some of the content.
You're smart.
And I think that that's shown. I think not that you're not intelligent, but the perception of the unintelligent. And we've kind of, I think, veered toward that side of the road where we really need to challenge ourselves to be smart, challenge ourselves to be intelligent. So I would have Maya Angelou, her book here, and a dictionary by my side so that when I got to those words, I could look them up and see what she was talking about. So Maya Angelou, just one of my favorite all-time writers. one of my favorite all-time speakers. Such a loss when she passed, because she was just she was unique. She was unique in wisdom. And I highly recommend, if you've never read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, it is about her life, her young life as a young woman, and the things that she endured. And it's shocking, breathtaking, and inspirational because of who she became after she went through what she went through in this book. So thank you so much. Again, in the comments, not only the books you were assigned that you fell in love with, but also any recommendations for people, because I know here during the pandemic, a lot of people have been reading a lot more than usual and probably are looking for new ideas. And that's one of the reasons that I started youonlyhaveyourselftoblame.com. So check out the blog, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.